Well, thanks for joining us again. Welcome to Newspaper Review. I am Moses Humphrey. And of course, we have Dele Fanimo with us in the building. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Moses.
And we're also being joined
I'm my dear.
we're also being joined by Mr. Akin Fatumke. Thank you for staying back from the morning show.
Always a pleasure, Dele. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And yes, and from Benin Station, we have Comrade Collins Amadine. Thank you very much, Comrade Collins, for staying with us. Let's establish communication with you, Comrade Collins Amadine. Oh yes, he's right there with us.
Thank you
very much once again. And Chukuma Okoro with me, of course. Chukuma, good morning once again.
Good morning, Moses.
Now let's dive into it. The Punch newspaper is up on our table. Punch, budget ultimatum. Pro-Wike Lawmakers give condition to meet Fubara. Lawmakers allege improper letter service. Ousted LG chairman, mock governor. And some of the headlines from the Punch still. Petrol imports jump 105% to 15 trillion naira. NBS reports. System glitch. U.S. Embassy to reschedule visa interviews. Saraki, Serap tackle Akpabio over Natasha's suspension. South-South Congress deepens PDP crisis as NWC Wike camp clash. 4,111 convictions secured. Over 364.5 billion naira recovered in 2024. EFCC. El-Rufai meets Aregbesola Bakari as ex-governor, deepens consultations. And then FG under fire over plans to import Europe waste. Man flees as girlfriend found dead in Lagos apartment. And also we have the story on diphtheria. Lagos meets WHO, NCDC over outbreak in schools. Well, these are Petrol. And this is regardless of the fact that refineries are working, but spending that much money, almost 1 trillion naira in 1 month importing petrol. Questions are coming up as to how effective are the refineries really working? And we know that licenses have been given out to more refineries to go into, to start working. So there are questions. On the lips of a lot of Nigerians. Let's quickly chime into that one before we get into other conversations here.
I differ so much to my Egbo here, but then, because he is steeped in the oil industry, so he understands the game. But I just want to hazard a guess. You see, I want to believe that the volume of import does not reflect the consumption in Nigeria. It is probable that these people import and divert to neighboring countries. Because as of today, Dangote is working. Let's just assume, without considering, that Warri and Port Harcourt refineries that they claim to be working may not be working at full capacity. But what we have made to understand and what we have seen is that Dangote is pushing. And if if a refinery has 650,000 barrel capacity a day, even if it's pumping at 400,000 or even 300,000 a day, that import should be way higher. Because I know that some people hardly buy what they were consuming before the increase. I take myself as an example. I choose where it is absolutely necessary to visit with my car. Most times I go by public transport. And same for the average Nigerian. So how come we now have this increase, astronomical increase, even in the face of people's purchasing power being reduced drastically? So I want to believe that there is diversion and for higher profits, but they come through the Nigerian port. That's my feeling.
All right then. Let's switch to the man who's been a major player for over 30 years, I think, in the oil and gas sector.
A major participant. And
What's going on? Why are we spending so much?
My participation is ExxonMobil. I stay on the back of Dele here. All what you have said, quite right. And like Chukuma will always ask, how much is it that we are consuming? What is the numbers that I think we have? Well, let me build upon that. One, what will be importing, now in quotes, because it needs to be verified, perhaps it's a bit on the speculative side. Speculative that perhaps Dangote's prices are over the roof. And at one point in time, the cost of imported fuel was going to be lower. We had that. So smart Nigerians will take a decision, go out there, go bring the thing. Now, when it comes in at a rate of FX that is high, what did Dangote do? He decided to do his thing and brought the price down and thereby undercutting. Whether it's for petroleum products, whether it's for consumer goods that people go around and hoard, becomes neither here and there. But don't forget, when you go to do that, you have got to borrow money and you are going to be paying some kind of interest. You have no choice but to find a way to try and see how to sell. Two outlets can come for you. You can decide now that the marketers are now
Free.
coming that you can sell fuel here and there, take it up north or take it down to the south, central, logistics bearing you, or you can again take a decision to smuggle it out. But all those news are getting tighter and tighter, and so people would not have to take a decision to cut their losses. So that is one. Two, if NNPC is part of this import, if NNPC is importing, it could be from the strategic angle that, wait a minute, our refineries that we have touted to say they are going to produce, well, of course, they are not going to produce enough. Even they perhaps are still working in fits and starts. We don't really. We are now in Ramadan, or, last December. We don't want to have a stock out so that we can build up our strategic reserve. And even if you did that, and Dangote will not be sitting like a lame duck. He knows that you are doing that. Don't forget that he has also been given some kind of concession. Okay. He will go again for the kill. Bottom line, therefore, is we need more openness. Things are still opaque in a way, and since it is now NNPCL Limited, I think the auditors should go in there, drill around, find out why we are doing what we are doing, okay, and see. And don't forget also, Dangote, the bad boy, is also helping to fight the smuggling, because Dangote is also exporting out there. So it's become like bad business for those who decide that they are going to hoard. But we need to see more transparency.
All right, so Comrade Collins Amadine, let's have your take on this one. But talking about fuel being produced here, I said something earlier that prices have not uniformly come down. In some filling stations in Lagos, regardless of what NNPC has said, that its price has been brought down to 860 per litre, and Dangote is selling 865 in some filling stations, 860 at the MRS filling station, but we still see people buy. Well, over the weekend, I drove into 4 filling stations. Well, none of them is MRS. I drove into 4 filling stations, and they all had 980, 985. And I asked the question, I asked the attendants there, why haven't you reduced price? They're like, oh well, it's the management. One actually told me, look, we want to finish our stock. And I said, look, if prices go up, you don't wait to finish stock before you increase.
The minute there's an announcement.
So, are we the problem here? Do we want things to even work? Does it seem like we want things to work? Anyway, it's not question and answer, but these questions are just in my head. Well, go ahead. Let's have your take.
Anyway, that's typical Nigerian factor, but it's quite unfortunate because nobody wants to be his brother's keeper. But I bought fuels in some stations last week in Benin too. I bought some places at 880, some 890, some 900. So actually, as you have said, it varies. But I think, first, we don't have statistics in this country. Nigeria is a very large market. We don't have statistics. Today in Benin, if you have 100 boys that are not even working, as in there's no visible place they're even working, either as neighbors or what have you. If there are 20, 19 have cars. And they drive even when they don't have anywhere they are going to. So people buy fuel. So even when they are importing, I can tell you to even refine what we satisfy. Nigeria is a very large market. Just because we don't have statistics, we just assume maybe 600 liters or 6 million liters can serve Nigeria, when in most part of the country there is no electricity too. As you are buying fuel for your car, you are buying for your generator. Some are buying for their working places. So I think not until we have real statistics in this country, we'll continue to do things and assume we are doing things. That is just the truth. So I think even while NLPC are trying to do their best, Dangote are trying to do their best, I am even sure that 75% of what Dangote is producing is actually leaving this country to some other country, just as Barrister said before, because they need higher price. Is more expensive outside here than it is in Nigeria. So you expect them to export some of these products outside this country. So I think the best thing to do first is that we have a real statistics and know what we are consuming, as a people. Otherwise, we'll continue to just assume that how come they are importing when we say refineries are working. Those refineries may be working.
And to be very honest with you, anybody that tells you that he understands what is happening, I'm sure nobody does. Because there's a lot of mumbo-jumbo here and there. We are talking about 2.3 billion liters of petrol imported between September 11 and December 5, 2024. 2.3 billion liters. As at this point, Dangote had already started supplying fuel to Nigeria. And when Amadin says that he thinks that Dangote is exporting, Dangote didn't mince words about it. He said, if you don't buy, I'm going to export. And he started doing to Cameroon and I think some other West African countries. So it is a given. But the issue is, if NNPCL is important, at whose behest are they doing that? At their own behest? And we understand that last week it made in the news that a certain 7.7 trillion naira subsidy
7.74 trillion naira
was incurred between June
September?
2023. No, June 2023, the very month the president yanked off fuel subsidy, up until September 2024. So that's a lot, 7.7 trillion naira subsidy that NNPCL is asking for now. And Nigerians have been buying fuel at a certain 1,200 up until now that we are talking about 865 and all of that. So who pays the difference? Is it the Nigerian people, the Nigerians that have been the ones paying this? And incidentally, we see a government that says, look, we now have more money because states are getting 3 times. The president was very clear. He said states are getting 3 times higher than they used to get. And by implication, what it means is that the federal government is also getting 3 times and the local government. So where did we get all of this money from? So the whole, like I said, is a numbo jumbo, and I'm not sure that anybody understands except people in the petroleum industry. People in NNPC, people in the petroleum ministry. These are the people who understand. What we are just doing here is maybe to hazard guesses because we get one information today. Tomorrow we have another conflicting one. and by the next day we have one that validates or even invalidates the other one. So that's my worry. 2.3 billion liters of fuel imported within 3 months. What is our consumption? How much do we consume a day and all of that? We don't have data to support all of this.
I think we consume about 40 something million or thereabouts. Oh well. Well, let's go to another conversation now, still from the dailies. Some weeks back, there was a conversation around Nigeria applying alongside 23 other countries for waste, non-hazardous waste coming into the country. Now, certain groups, well, the headline is FG under fire over plans to import Europe waste. And we hear that Pollution Control and Environmental Health Federal Ministry of Environment, Mrs. Bahijatu Abubakar, has explained that Nigeria imports 2 specific types of waste. All right, so I think this is ongoing already. Mutilated rags and fiber. Those are some of the waste being imported. And we know that some of the things that will be coming in from the European Union in terms of waste are plastics. Went back, well, let me take an excerpt of this story before we get into our opinion. And let's know that some of the countries that have applied for these waste include, aside from Nigeria, we have Bangladesh, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Egypt, El Salvador, India, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Moldova, Monaco, Morocco, North Macedonia, Pakistan, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Serbia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, Togo, Tunisia, Ukraine, Vietnam, and of course, Nigeria. There are 23, with Nigeria 24. Now, non-hazardous waste accounts for about 95.6% of solid waste produced in Europe, and they include municipal waste such as packaging, clothing, bottles and plastics, as well as demolition materials like concrete, bricks, stones, and food waste. Why are we importing these things? Now, I know that some will say some of the countries there are, there are countries that are better off in terms of economy than Nigeria, but it still doesn't explain the fact that we're importing concrete materials, we're importing, and we know that we don't have, I don't know how functional our recycling plants are, because I don't know how well we make. There are institutions that encourage women to bring plastic bottles and the rest and use it to pay school fees. The bigger the bags, some monies are given to you so you can pay school fees for your children as a way of removing these waste from the environment. But we also know that we're still dealing with styrofoams. We're still dealing with nylons and those other things that are clogging the waterways. Why then are we importing? Why do we intend to have a truckload or a trailer load of waste coming into Nigeria?
I don't know why you're worried. I don't know why you're worried about this. I'm worried as to. They say it's non-hazardous.
Non-hazardous can become hazardous just by exposure to things like sunlight and fire.
Okay, I didn't know that because I'm not very good at chemistry. Maybe you are. But let me also ask, why would you get worried? If you import rice that you produce here, why wouldn't you import other things? Meanwhile, they have already given you an explanation. They say it is used for in the trying to prop up the textile industries in Kaduna that died long ago. We are trying to revive them so that they become functional. So if we need raw materials to support them, why would
that's why I said.
And on the other hand, waste for cement is used in kilns of cement production.
All right, gentlemen, please. You'll take it.
Again, I think that needs to be interrogated much more deeper. Beyond it being non-hazardous, under what terms are these imports coming in? Is there an whereby
Money is paid, of course.
what kind of monies are we paying? Is that
paid
supposed to be
Nigeria, to the
our
countries.
input material into our second tier industries, like you said? For me, if they becomes less hazardous, input materials that ordinarily we should be getting from here, and we're not, I would say yes, let's see how it goes. But in terms of control and in terms of regulations, I also would. And then our people, governed, will now apply it into what should not be. This will have been. It will determine the specific target areas where this stuff are going to go. We are going to look at the yield that is coming from whatever it is. And by the time we begin to is local content. And we have partners, the trips that Mr. President has made, that they can come in, help to come and start here, hopefully, bring your machines, bring generating. Yes, that will help. Well, like I said, these are all still very poor and very weak. Excuse me. And making sure that whatever it is that comes in, we're able to measure the kind of yield of what we are going to see go out. And if we don't have statistics, can we record them? And find a way to record in and outgoing, and what the net benefits will be to Nigerians. Thank you.
All right then.
The fact it is called gives me a kind of creeps. Nigerians, because of the kind of people we are, I can bet you a lot of things will come in along with this hazardous waste. There was a time
Didn't come through the normal route.
I said, because that it's a big, it's a huge waste that was shown on television by NTA then. Okay. It wouldn't have come through trailer.
No, when you say did it come by air?
It came through the port.
That is land water borders now.
You understand? So what I'm saying is there were customs in our borders, and they didn't detect that. From the point that even European countries called it waste, is hook, line, and sinker. Particularly if somebody is going to benefit from it, he doesn't care if it's going. Does maybe 5-10 years down the line, that is alien to
Okay, basically my first reaction is I'm scared too, because you mentioned ordinarily you see other countries, you see Ukraine, Philippines, you know, also taking these waste products,
also
taking this.
be encouraged because
no into it. Nigerians being will probably go there to Europe,
Yes.
find a way around it, and bring
package
in
some other
something,
things.
you know.
Another thing I said is we don't even have effective making sweaters. Make sweaters. But then, how well do we have? Do we
Like,
need?
there's a-
Yeah.
Yes, we
Some of this, I hope.
no. I don't.
I was
Have a responsibility to do what, if they, I mean, we put their feet to fire. They have to do it.
Okay.
Because we don't want, for example, or somebody going to bring in
Circumvent.
contaminated
I envy
drugs
the
and,
trust
you
you
know,
have.
bad drugs into the
in
country
assembly.
and all that.
Just feel both hazardous and unhazardous. I
accountability, Onuma urges. This paper gathered, that's The Guardian, gathered that at the weekend, about 1 trillion in cash and assets were recovered by the EFCC in 2024, marking the biggest haul in proceeds of crime recovery by the anti-graft agency. Now, this monies alone covers the 2020, well, it covers the 2024 budget of some states of Nigeria, and then they try to break down the states, but these monies are stolen by individuals, largely individuals. Call them politicians, call them regular individuals, they are individuals. Well, names are not being mentioned here, if that's what Chukuma is looking for. Unfortunately, there are no names as to those that have been convicted. Just the monies recovered. And how does this fight corruption, really, if there's no naming and shaming?
That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, of course, like he also said, under the finance minister, where there is supposed to be a consolidated, whatever it is, whether it's Abacha recovery or that's those who have died or those who are still alive.
And passing it through Abacha.
You must.
Those that are still alive, I'm passing it through Abacha.
I mean, we had a book launch that was still talking about Abacha's name. Who says money might not come through that angle? I mean, on a serious note, we should have a system in place where we track, where we monitor, where we see some of these funds. And I know government was making an attempt that whatever is recovered should go to social intervention. Situations where money that is recovered is looted, you don't know what is going on. Still, again, not stamp of respect for this government or any government whatsoever, that people will not believe you. It should not be EFCC recovers, and you can't recover and then keep. You can't. It shouldn't be. We all know that. Government knows that. I mean, it rankles the brain for anybody to come up with this. Until somebody come and give me a better explanation. It just should not be. And we've had this for one time too many. I know EFCC, look at it, has also said that they are recovering some of those things. They are still subject to court release. Court will still have to sit on it and all that. I think the judicial system, criminal prosecution, judicial system should be fastened. That we just don't continue to suffer. And then these people who steal these things can then find a way to corrupt the system and then take these things through the back way. It's just not, that's not accounting, that's not transparency, that's not responsibility accounting, as a matter of fact.
I sometimes when I look at some of these things, I ask some questions, and I'm asking this question as a newsman. If you have done this kind of beautiful story, and you have these statistics, you should, as a reporter, have gone further to the agency involved that is pushing out these statistics. Who are the people that refunded these funds? And what was the volume of money that they allegedly stole? And what fraction is the refund? For instance, I know of one Accountant General from Oyo State, Otunla. He was Accountant General in the state, and in questionable circumstance, he was sacked. Suddenly, his phoenix rose at the federal level. He became Accountant General of the Federation. And this man was accused of stealing about 18 billion naira. He ran out of the country as soon as Buhari came, and he was returned after paying about 3 out of 18 billion naira that he was accused of stealing. And is properties littered Ibadan, particularly, and some of those places in Oyo State. None was recovered. So if that person is captured as one of the people that stole money and they recovered, if you recover 3 out of 18, what is the fraction of 3? The man came back in bags. He died in UK. So you can imagine what, even if Evans is even trading 14 trucks for his life, a common criminal that didn't even steal from government, but stole from people and killed.
Probably indirectly, because
what I'm saying is, as long as there is no punishment for infraction, we are not going anywhere in this country.
Of course. Now, but what we see, if you go deeper into this report, most of the convictions have been on advance fee fraud.
That's what I'm saying. These are the Yahoo boys.
419, yes.
You know, they are non-state actors. They didn't have access to our patrimony.
Well,
but that is not to exonerate them from committing that crime. But what we are saying is, it is easy within 1 month maximum of catching a Yahoo boy is arraigned, and they will show you all the evidence and the investigation they have conducted, to the extent that the lawyer would rather advise this Yahoo boy to accept guilt, so that he won't that is it. And then they will say they are recovering 4 out of your 8 cars, and then these are the things they come and show us as if they have trophies. I don't believe this. This is not how to fight corruption. Leave these guys, concentrate on the state actors that are stealing billions. Most of these Yahoo boys, some of them steal as low as maybe 5 million naira, 10 million naira, and you get conviction. Why are you not getting conviction for somebody who stole over 100 billion naira? Do you know what 100 billion can do in a state? Do you know how 100 billion can transform a state? And then somebody will now steal 100 billion, you recover 10 or 15 billion out of 100 billion, and you now come and host this as a trophy. For me, it's not a trophy.
all right then. Thank you very much. Comrade Collins Amadine. Go ahead.
Yes, you know what, we had power issue while we were discussing just now, so I really couldn't fit in into the rest of the conversation. So we just came back now. I don't know if you can give me an highlight.
Talking about the recoveries made by EFCC, about 1 trillion naira stolen cash recovered, and some other assets, most of them from politicians. And EFCC also is talking about over 4,000 litigations that it had done, and the majority of them are from advance fee fraud, individuals that are involved in 419 advance fee fraud. And the numbers, the petitions and litigations, I think Lagos has about the highest of them, about 3,000 something, and it just cuts across other states as well. But we also know that not too long ago, there was some sort of institution that was raided by EFCC officials, where some foreigners was engaging Nigerian youths, about 790, over 700 of them being engaged.
On the island.
Yes, in Victoria Island, actually, in Lagos, being taught how to do fraud. So that's a major concern. We are dealing with the issue of drug abuse. We're dealing with the issue of fraud. We have a situation in this country whereby every young person, in fact, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, believe that, look, they have to make it big, and the only way is to scam somebody. You receive a message on your phone from a bank, you need to double check. If not, somebody might scam you. Oh, well, the conversation is around EFCC's recoveries and the rest.
Yes, even while you were talking to me before I joined you, somebody just called my line telling me his brother Pius from MPDC me to come and carry contracts. And I just said, are you not ashamed of yourself? And he said, is that how I talk to my elder brother? I said, come on, get off my phone. Now, the fraud system we are having is alarming. Because too, EFCC has become another NNPC and share. EFCC are not doing very well. They are even the one by their actions now encouraging these things. EFCC, especially in Benin, I'll tell you precisely, I will make sure the name, Owobi Community Saple Road, where I had my restaurant. I can bet you today, EFCC, whether they are genuine EFCC or they are not, they put on EFCC, they will be invading houses to houses, looking for boys, and at the end of the day, they give them money or they settle them, they leave them, they come back, they do worse. So when people already know that there is a way of settlement, they will continue in that kind of action. So if truly EFCC are arresting these numbers, they are arresting every day. Sometimes we see some on TV and they are being persecuted and we see the consequences of being involved in fraud. People will run away. But when they are always where, can't you ask yourself, now that the EFCC is after them, now that they are in their numbers, why? Because they are en route to make money. Now, for officers and persons that are being deployed to EFCC now, you would even be surprised how much they are paying to lobby to go to EFCC, because that is the new route. So things must be done rightly in this country for us to move forward. And that is the only way people will run away from it. So all those ones they are showing us, okay, now EFCC should be telling us, after spending money on litigation, now maybe EFCC makes 1 billion in a year, and they will tell you they have spent 900 and something million on litigation, and the profit that comes from it, for example, what they finally make that they will remit is less than 2%. Is that an action? Is that do they go into all this litigation and come up with results? No. Okay, now those people you talk about.
Before we run out of time, let's quickly take this headline from Business Day. I'm just going to put this out there, and I'd like your thoughts on this one. Now, the headline here from Business Day reads, MDA's debts choke discos despite billion naira allocation. Now, if you recall in Lagos, something happened sometime last week, I think Thursday or Friday, where, yes, NAV officials invaded Ikeja Electric office, punished members of staff there because their light was disconnected. Now, but let's look at a few. According to Business Day, the presidential villa owes Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, 923 million naira. And this is despite having a budget of 360 million naira for electricity charges in 2023. The Ministry of Defense is indebted to Abuja Electricity Distribution Company to the tune of 5.43 billion naira. And it goes on and on. But then, this is a situation where the common man is the one that takes the brunt of it, because if a common man feels they will disconnect your light, if you try to revolt, they will take a video of you and then sanction you as well. You can't even prevent them from climbing your pole. Gentlemen, please, let's have your thoughts on this one before we run out of time.
In fact, if you have anybody resisting these officials, they will deal with the whole community, remove them from the grid for months.
Well, meanwhile,
that you have to beg. But meanwhile,
presidential villa is owing so much.
How could presidential villa be owing
Mr.
electricity distribution company?
Mr. Fatuke, presidential villa is owing.
And the Ministry of Defense, where you have the CDS, where you have the service chiefs.
Billion. Ministry of Defense, 5.43 billion naira.
For me, I'm not hearing this for the first time. It has happened.
Are you comfortable with this?
I can never be comfortable with it. I mean, it shows the shenanigans that is with us as a people, as government. Okay. The last time, I know Chukwuma will remember that very well.
Because he likes
It's either UCH that's been disconnected and all that. Everything is in shambles. And I really don't understand.
And they're still talking about the bans, ban A, moving everybody to ban A.
I still don't agree with what I know happened lately. You know, going to beat up the hapless guys at Ikeja.
Despite the fact that you are owing them 4 billion naira.
I mean, it's impunity of the. I mean, we should bury our faces in shame.
Government.
This
The same government.
No, this is
The same government will tell you that they need to pay up. There's a particular that they need to.
Equipment and
No, don't just equipment. Share capital.
Share capital. They should raise their share capital.
Exactly, that they should pump in more money into their business. And you are owing them 4 billion. 5
That's
billion.
just one, no.
That's just
out
one.
of many.
Air Force Base.
Also, rock
That's
900
Abuja.
and something million.
So what are we?
So how do you expect them to survive?
How do you expect? So
all right.
How then do you expect them to survive? I think we are a bunch of jesters and comedians in this country.
All right then. We're absolutely out of time.
Seriousness.
We are absolutely out of time. Well, let's quickly, Comrade Collins, let's have your take in 20 seconds.
Let me also tell you, the way our Nigerian leaders misbehave sometimes, I can bet you that when you go to government file, that electricity bill we are talking about has been paid. Assumingly, but will not reflect in the main account, but has been diverted to someone's account. Because there is no way some of these parastatals of government will be owing in a way that someone...
It's not the first time. A lot of them are owing. We know this. Well, thank you very much, Comrade Collins Amadine from our Benin station. Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on the program. Big thanks also to Dele Fanimo, seasoned reporter, VOP analyst. Thank you for your time on the program. Also, thank you, Aki Fatunke, who is a communication consultant. Thank you very much. I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day.
And I am Chukwu Makoro. See you at 6 o'clock for Political Lens. Bye for now.